Vedanta Resources is set to announce its mega restructuring this evening. Nisha Podar joins us with all the exclusive details on the blueprint of the rejig. Good afternoon, Nisha.
Good afternoon, Kamya. They have just announced, Vedanta Resources has, Vedanta Group has just announced the entire restructuring, and pretty much on the lines of what we had been talking about and we had exclusively shared with our viewers since morning. Now, 3:5 is going to be the ratio of this merger between Sesa and Sterlite, which means that for every 5 shares of Sterlite Industries, the shareholders will end up getting 3 shares in the combined entity of Sesa and Sterlite, which will be a newly formed company which will be named Sesa Sterlite. Vedanta Resources has confirmed that to us, and then the Vedanta Resources is also going to transfer its stake in Kane India, which it holds at about 38.8% at the moment, and that is going to be transferred to the newly combined entity, which is Sesa Sterlite. So therefore Sesa already has about 20% stake in Kane India, which is a recent acquisition by Anil Agarwal's group, and will end up holding about 58.9% stake in that company, which means that Sesa Sterlite is going to be the parent company for Kane India. What Vedanta Resources will also do is that transfer its shares in Vedanta Aluminium, which is, remember, an ambitious project as far as Anil Agarwal is concerned in Orissa. A huge aluminium project, and that is going to be again transferred to Sesa Sterlite. So all these transfers are going to happen, and also remember what we gathered from our sources, though not part of the statement yet, is that Vedanta Resources is also going to transfer $5.9 billion of debt which is on its books to Sesa Sterlite, along with the transfer of Kane India stake. So all this is going to happen, and we'll be speaking to the management later in the day. But right now, to get more information and to analyze this entire restructuring and how it augurs for the shareholders of all the listed companies involved. Remember, 3 of them involved here: Sesa, Sterlite Industries and Kane India. How is it going to augur for these companies and the shareholders? Have they got the fair value for that? We have analysts joining in. First, we'll go to our metal analyst, Tarang Bhanushali of India Infoline. Tarang, thanks so much for joining us on the show. You know the contours of this restructuring. Vedanta had been working on it for a long time. 3:5 is the ratio, or merger ratio. What do you think about that? Have the shareholders of Sterlite got a fair deal in this?
Yeah, I think because if we add the value of Kane India to Sesa and the existing business, then I think that the ratio is fairly valued. I don't think there would be much pessimism for the Sterlite shareholders for this. I think it's a win-win situation for both the shareholders.
Right. Tarang, hang on. We have another important market guest also joining us with us, Sudeep Bandopadhyay. Sudeep, thanks so much for joining in. So what do you make of this 5:3 merger ratio? How is the market expected to react to this? Fair value for the shareholders, you think?
Well, I think, it's a reasonably good deal as far as the Sesa shareholders. As far as the Kane shareholders are concerned, life continues as it was. For Sterlite shareholders, one has to, look at the entirety of the transaction, and as you kind of add the Kane valuation to the Sesa valuation and compare it with the existing Sterlite valuation, I think it's not too bad a deal. Yeah, it could have been slightly better for Sterlite shareholders, but overall basis, I wouldn't say it's too negative, even for Sterlite shareholders.
Right, Sudeep, hang on there, because I need to get in Tarang here, who's a metal specialist. Tarang, this particular combined entity of Sesa Sterlite is going to have a large chunk of about 58% stake as far as Kane India is concerned, which is an oil and gas major. And that company is coming in with its cash. Cash dividends are expected to help the entire metal sector, or the metal business of Anil Agarwal. How do you see this entire merger panning out, especially for metals business and for the newly combined entity?
I think it does not impact the company as such, because if you look at the complete debt the Vedanta Group has taken has been transferred to the Sesa Sterlite entity. So again, only the debt would be coming, and they are not paying any money other than the debt to the parent company. For Sterlite, I think we would see more consolidation going in with Vedanta Alumina also getting consolidated in this, and Sterlite Energy already into Sterlite. We would see some sync going between Sterlite Energy and Vedanta Alumina. Sterlite Energy providing power to the aluminium company. So there would be some synergies we would be seeing going ahead in this.
Right, Tarang. Definitely better synergies are expected here. I'll get back to you on the other aspect, which is Vedanta Aluminium, which you touched slightly. But then coming to Sudeep now. Sudeep, do you think it's going to be a concern or in any way it impacts Cairn India shareholders now that the parent company is out and out metal company in India and which has a lot of ambitious projects, has a lot of debt, lot of huge projects to look into and pump in money, and this particular company, Cairn India, is seeing pretty much like a cash cow for the entire combined entity. Do you think it's at all a concern, and how is the market expected to react to this particular news on Monday then?
Well, I think as far as Cairn India is concerned, it's an excellent company. It's doing very well. The market forces, the way they are poised right now, it augurs very well for Cairn India. So if Cairn India is left to itself, which it should be, there should not be any concern. But yes, as you mentioned, if it's treated as a cash cow for unrelated diversification and the money is diverted out of Cairn India for other unrelated expansions, of course that will be negative for Cairn India. But I think it will be premature to conclude that. Overall, I would say this restructuring pertains more to Sesa Goa, Sterlite and Vedanta, the London company. It's got nothing to really do at this stage with Cairn India. It's a very interesting and an intelligent piece of financial engineering, whereby the entire asset and liability of Vedanta pertaining to Cairn is moving to the new merged entity's balance sheet. So Vedanta becomes a clean company as far as this transaction is concerned. I won't say it's too bad for the merged entity as well, because Cairn India is definitely a prized asset. Let's see how things pan out. Of course, there will be cost savings. When there is a merger of this scale, there will be cost savings. If it can be properly executed, it should be good for the shareholders of both Sterlite and Sesa.
Right, Sudeep. So yes, uncertainty at this point not very clear, but you said from the face of it, Cairn India doesn't seem to be impacted at the moment. But yes, we have maintained since the beginning that it's not a simplification exercise, but it is cash management of the company and great financial engineering also done as far as bringing Cairn India is concerned. But also Vedanta Aluminium in totality has been brought into the Indian entity Sesa Sterlite. Remember earlier, Sterlite Industries held 30% stake in Vedanta Aluminium, 70% was held by Vedanta Resources. But as far as this 15,000 crore project is concerned, mammoth debt was required, and for that it's Sterlite Industries which had the largest share of the burden, which is 9,600 crores, and lesser amount was with Vedanta Resources. So it only makes sense the entire company comes into it. But Tarang, bringing you in here, Vedanta Aluminium has not proved to be a good project for Anil Agarwal. They have not managed to get bauxite mines. In fact, it has also brought in a lot of controversial aspects as far as Vedanta Resources or Vedanta Group in India is concerned. How do you see Vedanta Aluminium coming into Sterlite and Sesa Sterlite in totality?
I believe this is where the negative news is the valuation of Vedanta Alumina. We already know that the company is making losses, and we do not see it recovering further as it does not have much resources on the back end for them. So this is where the negative part comes in for the merger. We believe the valuation is a bit on the higher side for Vedanta Alumina in this case.
But also to mention that I do gather from my sources that there are tax benefits as far as Vedanta Aluminium is concerned, because it's a loss-making unit, and that is expected to benefit Sesa Sterlite and could be EPS accretive. That's one aspect that I'm gathering. Of course, more details should be coming out from the management on that. But one last take before I let you go, Tarang. How are you seeing the three stocks reacting, or let's concentrate on Sesa Goa and Sterlite Industries on Monday as they open for trade?
I think we would see some positive opening for both the stocks, largely because their ratio is quite good, and with the merged entity we would see more powers for the company. So I think it would be a positive step at the moment for both the companies.
Right. Thanks so much, Tarang, for joining us. And going back to Sudeep Bandyopadhyay. Sudeep, thanks for patiently waiting by, and would like to take your last comments on how do you expect the three stocks, Sesa Goa, Sterlite Industries and Kane India, expected to open in trade, and what could be the reaction?
Well, my take is slightly different. I think Sesa will definitely open in a positive zone, whereas Kane and Sterlite will probably open with a bit of a downtick. And as things progress, probably things will be much more clearer. Kane will be down just because of the sentiments around it. Some of it you articulated, whereas Sterlite will be down because the expectation was probably of a slightly better ratio from the point of view of Sterlite. As and when the more the details emerge, I think things may get ironed out, and even Sterlite will recover as things move.
Right, Sudeep. Thanks so much for your time and the insight that you gave on this entire restructuring. So there you go, Vedanta Group's restructuring, which had been a buzz for quite some time. All the details are out. Of course, we'll get more details behind the rationale, but pretty much net-net, what Vedanta Resources has done is that it has passed on Kane India stake to the Indian entity, and also passed on the huge debt burden that it had on its books. So therefore, Vedanta Resources is freeing itself from anything to do with Kane India. But of course, in the whole listed entity, it still remains a parent company and should be holding close to about 60% stake in the combined entity, which is Sesa Sterlite. As far as Sesa Sterlite is concerned, how they are going to manage the cash flows from Kane India, and will that be enough to sail through with the loss-making entity Vedanta Aluminium, is to be seen. But of course, it's a larger and much stronger entity now. But of course, the management has to convince the shareholders and give us a lot of insight on how they are going to take this forward.